Okay, hello everyone. At this point in your journey, you are well into drafting your thesis. So, my goal today is to ensure that your thesis meets the highest academic and professional standards. So, we'll go beyond structure and discuss strategies for strengthening your argument, refining your writing, and ensuring your methodology and analysis are defensible. So the thesis, again, is a demonstration of your scholarly and professional identity. So we want to make sure that your writing reflects that. While the word limits are guidelines, balance is key. So a weak literature review can make your argument underdeveloped. An overlong methodology can make it feel excessive. The organization should not feel formulaic, but rather strategic. Each section must build upon the last and contribute to the overall cohesion and persuasiveness of your study. I was hesitant to put these word counts in because they are just suggestions. It's fine if you are not within those suggestions. So your abstract, what is that you'll see that's coming up? Your abstract is a standalone document. Think of it as your academic sales pitch. If a scholar only read your abstract, they should know exactly what your study is about, why it matters, and what it concludes. So you want to avoid vagueness. Phrases like "this study examines" are weak. Instead, use direct statements like "this study demonstrates that trauma-informed counseling significantly reduces anxiety in middle school students." Cut unnecessary words. Every word must add value in the abstract. Okay, in terms of the introductions, a lot of introductions in general, not specific to this class, lack focus. So you want to ensure that your research problem is narrowly defined and justified. So by paragraph 1, your reader should clearly understand the issue being studied. The thesis statement should be specific and arguable, not just a general topic statement. So instead of "this study explores trauma's effects on students," say "this study examines how trauma-informed counseling interventions mitigate emotional dysregulation among middle school students with ACE scores of 4 plus." So the relevance of your study should tie to the existing literature. Why is this study needed now? So, with regard to the literature review, it's not a book report. You're constructing an argument that supports your study's necessities. Again, I know I've said this, but compare and contrast sources instead of listing them sequentially. Example: author A argues X, while author B refutes X, suggesting Y. However, neither addresses Z, which is critical to this study. You want to identify the gap clearly. What has been overlooked or underexplored? Um, you want to use at least one theoretical framework. Okay, it could be a ecological model or an attachment theory. Frameworks anchor your study. And you want to conclude with your research questions. They should emerge naturally from your review. Methodology is often where defenses fall apart. Your study must be replicable. So explain why your approach is the best fit, why not another method. Ethical considerations must be proactive, not reactive. Show how you ensured participant safety and minimized researcher bias. Okay. Um, And this section, in terms of findings and analysis, it's not just a data dump. It should be narratively structured to tell a clear story. Every finding should directly answer a research question. Integrate data with your literature review. Does your research confirm or challenge prior studies? Avoid overgeneralizing. If your sample was 20 students, acknowledge the limitations in generalizing to all students. Resist the urge in the conclusion to rehash. Instead, synthesize insights into a meaningful reflection. Limitations do not weaken your study, they show academic integrity. Future research suggestions should be logical extensions of your work, not just vague ideas. Precision matters, right, with academic writing. So avoid redundancy, filler words, and passive phrasing. Use clear, declarative statements instead of complex, convoluted prose. Each section should flow into the next. Transitions, again, should be seamless, not abrupt. So many students struggle rather with making their thesis statement specific and research driven. I'm still seeing this in a few cases. A vague thesis makes it difficult to frame a study because there's no clear variable or intervention. So um, make sure your thesis is testable and measurable within your methodology. So if your thesis could be answered yes or no, it's too simplistic. Instead, focus on relationships, effects, or mechanisms. I have a few examples here. In terms of the literature review breakdown, I definitely know I've mentioned this, but no point, no harm in mentioning it again. Thematic organization is key. You do not summarize sources individually. The goal is to build an argument for why your research is needed. So instead of just saying research shows art therapy is useful, critically analyze which populations benefit most. What mechanisms make it effective? Where is the gap in the research? For example, most studies focus on adults, but remain understudied. Children remain understudied. So, an example synthesis statement. While research supports art therapy's role in emotional regulation, studies comparing its efficacy to CBT for childhood anxiety remain limited. This study will address this gap by blah, blah, blah. This slide demonstrates how to build a strong methodology section for what I'm terming therapy-based research. So one of the biggest mistakes students make is failing to connect their methods to their research question. This example highlights clear study design elements. So why this study? Veterans are a high-risk PTSD group. Why these measures? PCL-5 is a validated PTSD measure. What bias exists? Researcher expectations can influence observations, so using blind raters. You want to justify every decision in your methodology. I think the biggest challenge in the findings section is interpreting results meaningfully rather than just reporting data. So you want to integrate visuals, things like graphs and tables, um, to make findings clear. So highlight contradictions or unexpected findings. This strengthens analysis. So an example analysis statement. While previous studies show DBT reduces emotional dysregulation, this study suggests the intensity of therapy sessions 2 times a week may accelerate improvement on an area not fully explored in prior research. You must connect findings to prior literature, research questions, and implications. So the conclusion should not just summarize findings, it should show why they matter. Strong conclusions include a summary of what was learned, a reflection on study limitations, clear recommendations for future research, and implications for real-world practice. So an example of a weak conclusion. This study shows DBT is helpful. Okay, here's a stronger version of that, right? These findings suggest DBT's effectiveness is influenced by treatment intensity, which has implications for designing therapy programs for adolescents with severe emotional dysregulation. I've also included a few other examples here on this page. So, writing at the graduate level means crafting an argument that is rigorous, structured, and supported by evidence. So, common mistakes: disorganized structure, so outline before writing is the solution. Weak transitions, use summary statements at the end of sections. Underdeveloped discussion, go beyond stating results, explain why they matter. Final tip: treat your thesis as a contribution to the field. Your work has the potential to inform clinical practice and influence future research. Approach it with that mindset. I just want to spend a moment looking at this rubric, which I did not create. I literally snatched it from somewhere. I will post it in Moodle for you, but I think it does a really nice job of outlining what should be in each section. And in a sense, I don't want to just say what I'm looking for, what anyone would be looking for in a master's thesis. So I'll post this in Moodle as well. So I want to remind you that this thesis is a reflection of your scholarly identity. Make it rigorous, compelling, and polished. I'm going to open the floor up to any questions. And of course, I do want to thank you and acknowledge all the hard work that you're putting into this project. So thank you for that. Thank you for coming to class. Thank you for taking these assignments seriously and pouring your heart and your time and your professional know-how into the work that you're doing. So thank you.